Good morning, Grizzlies. All right, so we're actually going to finish the book today. Yesterday, we learned that Moose and his family had to decide how much do they tell the warden. His dad really believes that they need to say everything to the warden, and they feel pretty confident that the warden's probably not going to do anything because it will look bad on him in the sense that he threw the civic party and things were not as secure as they should be. So, chapter 36, Kids on the Rock. Sunday, September 22nd, 1935. Eventually, things settle down. Whether this is because of the talk my father has with the warden or not, I really don't know. But the sudden fear that hit our island disappears and everything goes back to the way it was. Almost everything, anyway. Associate Warden Chudley is demoted. The warden finally realized what my dad and everyone else had known for some time. He was not up to his job. But the biggest change, as far as I'm concerned, occurs among us kids. What happened when the Khans tried to escape changed the way we think about each other. Each of us contributed something important that dark afternoon. Janet saw Teresa running down from up top and she came out with her bullhorn. Teresa found out she'd been right about the importance of May's hummingbird hanky. Jimmy figured out what was going on and snuck down under the dock to set loose his flies to swarm the Khans at exactly the right moment. Natalie's attention to detail helped her spot the fake guns and let me know about them in her own unique way. Annie made use of that perfect pitching arm, and Piper discovered that deep down inside, she might just have it in her to love her baby brother. But it wasn't just that. It was what Mrs. Madaman said too, about how everybody disappoints you at one time or another, and you have to forgive people. That seemed to make a difference too. At the parade grounds today, Annie throws the first pitch and we all find our places. Jimmy is catcher. He still can't throw to save his life, but he taught himself to catch pretty well. Not bad at all. Teresa is shortstop, and I'm on first base. Janet Trixel is up at bat, and Natalie is the ump calling the pitches, which she does with machine-like accuracy. And of course, Annie chucks her perfect pitches over the base one after another. Not surprisingly, Piper isn't here. Some things never change. After we're done playing, Jimmy and Annie and I are walking back down to 64 building when I tell Jimmy it's too bad he had to let all his flies go, and he says, "You don't care about flies." "Yes, I do," I insist. "You try to, but that's different." He nods toward Annie. "Annie's never liked the flies, but she told me right at the start. It's easier that way. This island is too small for pretending." I feel the slap on his words, and I really want to tell him he's wrong, but he's not. "Sorry, Jim," I say. He shrugs, takes his glasses off, and cleans them on the tail of his shirt. "We're all sorry about something," he says. "What are you sorry about?" I ask hopefully. I hate to be the only guy who messed up. "Telling Scout about the secret passageway." "Yeah, why'd you do that anyway?" Jimmy shrugs and rubs his glasses harder. "I thought you were going to tell Scout yourself. I wanted to beat you to the punch. And I was hoping Scout's opinion of me would, you know, rise above the status of dead girl?" I ask. He grins into his glasses. "I'm not sure which is worse, dead girl or auntie," Annie complains, shifting her baseball pants the way a guy would. "Okie dokie is what I said," I tell her. "This is supposed to make me feel better?" Annie snaps. "Not that I care. I've never been sweet on you, Moose. I've always thought you were a slug." "Well, thank you," I say, looking out across the bay where a flock of pelicans are flying in awkward formation. "You're welcome." She smiles a little. I have no idea why my mother would say that. It couldn't be further from the truth. "No offense, Annie, but your mom has some nutty ideas. She and her needlepoint?" I tell her. Annie snorts. "Moose, Moose, Moose, don't get me started on that. My mom thinks you love needlepoint." "It's hard to tell when he likes something and when he doesn't," Jimmy grumbles. I wish Jimmy would let up. Annie's big lips pucker like she's thinking about this. "But that's what we like about him too, isn't it?" Annie looks past me to Jimmy. "That he tries so hard with everyone." I'm glad Annie has said this. I am just being nice. What's the matter with that? But then I remember walking onto the boat with Seven Fingers' arm choking my throat, one arm marching Natalie across, Buddy dragging Piper. People say I was heroic by calling for help the way I did, but I know how close I came to staying silent. I scared myself that night. I saw how much I want to get along, but sometimes you have to make trouble. Sometimes making trouble is the right thing to do. Life is complicated. You'd think on a prison island, what with the bars and the rules and everything, it would all be so clear, but it's not. Chapter 37, The Yellow Dress. Monday, September 23rd, 1935. Nat's going back to the Esther P. Marinoff School today. She hasn't pitched a fit about it either. Of course, my mom has made sure her yellow dress is brand new, clean, the one with the buttons Sadie sews on every time she's done something well. My mom is in the kitchen packing up the lemon cake to take along, just in case Trixel decides to sharpshoot into the bay like the last time. Even though Trixel admitted Natalie helped apprehend the cons, he still isn't her biggest fan. I don't think there's anything Natalie could do to change his mind about that either. Trixel's mind is made of stone. It doesn't change. It just chips off here and there. Nat is smiling to herself and running her hands along the buttons on her yellow dress. Good idea Sadie had there, kind of like badges the generals wear, I tell her, surveying the small collection of buttons on Nat's dress. They look like they belong on the dress because Sadie has sewn them so artfully. New button. Nat runs her fingers along the bottom button, which is small and ordinary, the kind sewn on a man's shirt. But when it comes to buttons, there's no such thing as ordinary for Natalie. It's like me in baseball games, I guess. No two are alike. I'll bet Sadie will give you a new button if you cooperate today, I tell Natalie. Nat shakes her head emphatically as if she wants to jiggle the hair right out of her scalp. New button! She points again to the simple white button. Not that new. You haven't seen Sadie in 2 weeks, I tell her. No, Sadie. No, Sadie. Mom put that on? No, Mom. Dad? My voice squeaks hopefully, though I can't imagine Dad threading a needle, much less sewing a button on. No, Dad. Natalie keeps shaking her head. Moose. I didn't sew it on, Natalie. Mom's just kidding about me sewing. No, Moose, Natalie agrees. Who did it then? I ask. Good job. Nat answers, handing me a scrap of paper, brown with lines folded in half in handwriting I've come to know so well. Good job, it says.